Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. It's Friday, September 4th, coming to you live from our studio in Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-kyun. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. The weeks-long strike by thousands of doctors in South Korea could finally come to an end. The Korean Medical Association is expected to sign an agreement with the ruling party and the government. Under the agreement, the government will totally reconsider its medical reform policies in exchange for doctors returning to work. The South Korean government will decide in the coming hour on whether to extend the current level 2.5 COVID-19 social distancing measures, which were originally due to end on Sunday. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the U.S. top advisor for COVID-19, says it's, quote, conceivable to have a vaccine ready by October, although he thinks it's unlikely. This comes as the CDC told officials to prepare for the distribution of a possible vaccine by November 1st. Thousands of doctors in South Korea are expected to return to work as the ruling Democratic Party and the Korean Medical Association could finally reach an agreement on the medical reform plans. The party's policy committee chief Han Jung-hae and the head of the Korean Medical Association Choi Dae-jip was expected to meet at 8:30 a.m., but things got delayed, and details will be disclosed in the later briefing. The Medical Association is also scheduled to sign a separate pact with the government in a briefing this morning. The doctors are waiting for both the ruling party and the health ministry's stance before they give their final decision. This follows weeks-long strike by doctors in protest over the government's medical reforms, the core of which were increasing medical school admission quotas and building public medical schools. South Korea reported 198 new COVID-19 cases on Friday, keeping the figure below 200 for 2 days in a row now. All eyes are now on whether the government is going to extend the current level 2.5 social distancing measures, which heavily restrict people's daily lives and activities. Our Kim Sung-min reports.
The South Korean government will decide Friday whether to extend the current level 2.5 social distancing measures, which were originally due to end this Sunday. New COVID-19 cases in South Korea have been on a downtrend over the past 2 weeks, showing the government's strengthened measures are having the desired effect.
The government's policies like stricter social distancing measures are working well. The effect of the level 2.5 social distancing measures will be apparent from the middle of this week.
However, despite the slowing trend, South Korea is not yet completely out of the woods. 1 in 4 COVID-19 patients show no clear route of infection, meaning they could be spreading the virus without even knowing. There are still cluster infections at various spots like sports facilities and churches. Most importantly, concerns grow as the Korean Thanksgiving Day holiday, Chuseok, is around the corner.
There was a spike in the number of infections during the holidays in May and in August, so the government will try its best to contain further infections during Chuseok.
Since many people travel around the country during Chuseok, the key goal for the government is to ensure that cases don't surge again during the holiday. If the government keeps the current level in place longer, restaurants and bars must continue to close early, and franchise coffee shops can only offer takeout or delivery services. Kim Sung-min, Arirang News.
The South Korean government and the ruling Democratic Party have agreed to focus the second round of COVID-19 relief funds on businesses and families most affected by the recently tightened social distancing measures. In a closed-door meeting Thursday, they discussed the extent of financial support and who will be eligible. They agreed the emergency funds should be selectively given to people and businesses most vulnerable to the heightened measures, especially those forced to close down. The worst hit include karaokes, internet cafes, coffee shops, and more. The two sides are considering providing each of them with around $840. Travel agencies, water parks, and hotels are also being considered. They plan to provide the support before the start of Chuseok holiday at the end of the month. South Korea posted a current account surplus in July, the largest in 9 months. According to the Bank of Korea on Friday, the surplus stood at $7.45 billion, an increase of $870 million on year. The reading is also an 8% surge from the $6.88 billion recorded the previous month. The goods account surplus amounted to $6.97 billion, up $790 million on year. While exports plunged more than 10%, imports dropped to over 14% on year. As COVID-19 continues to spread around the world, India, Asia's worst hit country, has reported a record high daily spike in infections. China, on the other hand, has not seen a single reported case of local infection for 18 straight days. Our Kim Hyo-sun has a wrap-up.
Global confirmed cases of COVID-19 continue their upward trend, with India reporting more than 80,000 daily cases on Thursday alone. This is the highest single-day spike seen globally, with the country's total caseload surpassing 3.8 million. The total cases in India, Asia's worst-hit country, are third only to the U.S. and Brazil. The country has been carrying out extensive testing to trace potential patients, with an average of 950,000 tests conducted daily.
Daily positive numbers are increasing. There is no doubt about it. But then these numbers have to be seen in the context of the total population of India. We are the second most populous country in the world.
India, however, has reported a relatively low fatality rate of 1.7%, with the accumulated number of deaths standing at some 67,000 as of Thursday. COVID-19 cases have been surging, especially after the Indian government began lifting lockdowns since May. Major migrant camps around the world are also reporting an uptick. Last week, the Gaza Strip, one of the world's poorest and most densely populated places, reported its first official cases of community transmission. Within days, more than 250 COVID-19 patients and 4 deaths were confirmed, according to the Washington Post. On the Greek island of Lesbos, home to a massive camp for Europe-bound migrants, authorities on Wednesday confirmed the first case in a 40-year-old asylum seeker. Meanwhile, China has not seen a single case of local COVID-19 infection for the past 18 days, with only imported cases being reported. To this end, Chinese authorities have decided to resume international flights to China for some 500 travelers on a daily basis. It has given green light to 9 routes from 8 countries, including Greece, Austria, and Canada. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, the U.S. top advisor for COVID-19, says that it's conceivable but not likely that there will be a vaccine ready by October. Our Peunji has the details.
The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci, told CNN Thursday that it's, quote, conceivable there will be a safe vaccine by October, but it's more likely to be ready closer to the end of the year. This comes as the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention told public health officials around the nation to prepare for distribution of a potential vaccine as soon as November 1st, just 2 days before the U.S. presidential election. This has raised concerns among public health experts and scientists that approval of a vaccine could be politically motivated. But Fauci denied this and said it has nothing to do with the election, adding the public can have faith in what the FDA is saying. He said depending on how the trials proceed, the vaccine is more likely to be ready by November or December, but added these are all, quote, guesstimates. Currently, 3 vaccines in the U.S. have entered the final phase of clinical trials, and when asked on whether he would take the vaccine potentially approved in November, said he would not hesitate for a moment. He emphasized any COVID-19 vaccine will only be approved for the public when it's both safe and effective. Peunji, Arirang News.
The U.S. city of Rochester has seen protests after the release of a body camera footage from March showing police restraining a black man who later died in a hospital. The mayor of Rochester has also condemned the death as an act of racism. Our Kim Jae-hee has this report.
Protests broke out in the city of Rochester in New York State on Wednesday and Thursday after the release of a body camera footage showed a black man being restrained by police and held face down in the road. 41-year-old Daniel Prude reportedly had mental health issues and was running naked in the streets. He was unarmed when police officers put a hood over his head to stop him from spitting and pinned him to the pavement for 2 minutes. He died 7 days later of asphyxiation after he was taken off life support. The incident happened in March, 2 months before the death of George Floyd, while being restrained by Minneapolis police sparked protests against police brutality and racial injustice across the U.S. and other parts of the world. But Daniel Pru's story was only made public this week when the footage was obtained by his family through a public records request. Pru's family say the police are responsible for his death.
That was a full-fledged lynching. I don't care what nobody say. That was cold-blooded, calculated murder.
When this incident occurred, my father should have been met with a mental health specialist. He should not have been killed in the street.
The mayor of Rochester on Thursday suspended 7 police officers involved in the incident.
Mr. Daniel Prude was failed by our police department, our mental health care system, our society, and he was failed by me.
She also demanded that charges are dropped against the protesters who were arrested on Wednesday. Kim Jae-hee, Arirang News.
The 9th typhoon of the season, Typhoon Maysak, was one of the biggest storms to hit South Korea in recent years, causing numerous damages and injuries. However, just when many thought it was all over, another typhoon is headed this way. Our Lee Seung-jae tells us more.
Earlier this week, the season's 9th typhoon Maysak hit South Korea's southern resort island of Jeju, as well as southeastern and eastern regions of the nation, causing a massive amount of damage. Regions near Halasan Mountain in Jeju reported more than 1,000 millimeters of rain, with wind speeds up to 50 meters per second. Just when we thought the worst was over, now an even stronger typhoon is headed this way, and its name is Haishan. The massive typhoon is currently forecast to land on the nation's southern coast early Monday before passing over Daegu and northeastern city of Chuncheon. But once again, Jeju is expected to be hit first on Sunday morning by powerful rain and strong winds. The Korean Meteorological Administration projects the typhoon's path will approach areas just 80 kilometers away from Seoul at 3 p.m. on Monday. With many expecting Haishan to be even stronger than Maysak, the next storm could cause even more damage than Maysak. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Good morning. Autumn finally looks to have arrived. It was a cool start to the day with a fresh breeze under clear blue skies. But the afternoon will turn warm, leading to wide temperature gaps across much of the country. So Seoul will get up to 27 degrees Celsius, Gwangju and Busan at 29 degrees this afternoon under sunny skies nationwide. But Jeju and Jeollado provinces will have very high UV levels. Well, another autumn typhoon is tracking towards South Korea. And for now, the weather agency is saying Typhoon Haishan will pass waters of Jeju to the east, make landfall in Tongyang in Gyeongsang Namdo province next Monday, before finally passing over the whole country. Typhoon Haishan will bring rain to the south of the country this Sunday, followed by stormy weather nationwide into next Tuesday. And Haishan looks to be more powerful than Typhoon Maysak, so please stay alert. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
Now that's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.